Hello my friends, you're listening to Ebird Online and I'm back with another review. Well, finally the big day arrives. As we know, Mike had always told Natalie we'll get married tomorrow. The audacity of tomorrow finally coming like that. Yes, you guessed it, we're covering the wedding of Mike and Natalie. But as I'm sure as everybody knows right now, this goes wrong for these guys very quickly. So at the end of this video, I'm going to be analysing the real reason that Mike and Natalie split up. Right before I begin, I just want to say thank you to everybody that's subscribed to me so far. Please don't forget to subscribe if you've yet to do so. And if you enjoy the video, please don't forget to smash the like button. We've got an awful lot to get through, so without further ado, I give you Mike and Natalie. So when we first catch up with this couple, Natalie's sitting by the pond and she tells production, I really don't know what today will happen, but I think we are getting married. We are preparing for the ceremony. I will just have to wait and see. And then the producer said, Natalie, why are you so hesitant? What? Why is she so hesitant? Are you seriously asking that question? Out of interest, have you been watching the show? I'll tell you why Natalie is so hesitant. Number 1, Mike gave her the ring in the manner of somebody who's taking off jewellery because they're currently being mugged. Number 2, on the same day when Mike gave her the ring, he said he didn't forgive her for throwing the ring back at him in Ukraine. In at number 3, she's hesitant because Mike has bought nothing, not one item for this wedding. And that's closely followed by number 4. Mike has invited nobody to the wedding except Bo and Tamara. And number 5, 3 days ago he called off the wedding at the last minute and he sent Natalie packing in the midst of a global pandemic to France, all the time knowing she in fact lives in Ukraine. Number 6, when Natalie came back from the hotel, he asked her not for her hand in marriage but to break the law and to become an unlegal alien. He asked her to violate federal immigration laws so that she could satisfy his sexual needs. And finally, number 7, Pam, otherwise known as passive-aggressive Mike's thoughts, are subject to change at any given moment. That, producer, is why she's so freaking hesitant. And guys, I've been thinking about this of late, Mike's treatment of Natalie, and I know a lot of people say, oh, she brought it on herself. Yep, we know Natalie's a night terror, nobody's disagreeing with that. But I had a train of thought which was pretty much that Mike's treatment of Natalie is very close to torture. Mike's treatment leaves Natalie in a permanent state of discombobulation, and I don't know how she stands it. The E-Bird doesn't even like it. You know when somebody says, I'll pop round and see you on Tuesday. Yep, fine, no worries. And then you didn't clarify 1, morning, afternoon or evening, or 2, a time. I can't stand it. I think I hear the doorbell going all day long and I feel as if I don't know what to do with my day because somebody's popping round. That is more than I can bear. I would never be able to stand it if somebody said, maybe I'll marry you, maybe I won't. He loves me lots, he loves me not. Guys, I just would not be able to stand it, I wouldn't. So I thought I'd have a quick look and see if there's anything in this. And where would a girl be without her trusty Wikipedia? So I was busy doom scrolling and I stumbled across something called learned helplessness. So basically, learned helplessness is behaviour exhibited by a subject after enduring repeated adverse stimuli beyond their control. And this is caused from a person's acceptance of their powerlessness. And learned helplessness is so bad, it has actually been used as a form of torture in the past. So I'm not seeking to suggest that Mike was purposefully trying to torture Natalie, but I think the outcome of his consistent inconsistency would have a profound impact on Natalie's well-being. She wasn't wrapped too tight in the first instance, so I can imagine her being completely unravelled. Anyway, I digress. And once again, production are talking to Natalie, and she tells us, during our 90 days, everything that could go wrong did go wrong. But last night, Michael decided to marry me on my 90th day. And then she went on to explain that she feels happy and surprised and unsure. And she tells us he wanted to wait to get married, and he's only marrying me because of the 90 days. And all of this makes me question if the wedding's going to happen. And next we go over to Tamara, the next door neighbour, the maid of honour, the lover of Bo. And she explains it's been a long weekend. But Mike came up this morning and said, come on, we're doing it, we're getting married. And I've got to say guys, for a bit part player, Tamara really has been a pillar of strength for Natalie through this. Well done Tamara, you've been a good friend, and it's difficult when you're in the middle of warring factions. And Tamara's standing in Natalie's bedroom, and Natalie's putting on a long white dress and white trainers. And she explains, I haven't had a chance to buy anything, so there's nothing new here, I'm just putting on a dress that I had in Ukraine. And Tamara said, "You look beautiful." And Natalie said, "I know." Honestly, Natalie is the definition of vanity. I don't think anyone could look as good as Natalie thinks she looks. But I guess, blow your own trumpet and all that. And then Natalie sighs heavily and she starts putting on her makeup and she tells production, "I'm really nervous. I've only got a few hours on my visa. I'm completely out of time. Officially. I either get married now or I look for a ticket home." And she said, "Nothing can make me feel better except seeing Michael say, 'I do.'" And with that, she walks out of the South Fort Ranch and walks over towards the muddy pond, which I see now has some blue dye in it, and quite a nice water feature, I guess. And Mike slumped by the pond, looking for all the world as if he's off to the gallows. He really is a giant life-size MFing flip-flop. And Mike explains to production, I really wasn't sure if I was gonna marry Natalie today, and, love is a strange thing. Sometimes it don't make sense, and sometimes it does." "Oh really? Mike, you're a strange thing. Sometimes you don't make sense, and sometimes, in fact no, yeah, I guess you just don't make sense." And the wedding officiant, who'd been fired 2 days before, had the couple say their vows. And guys, there was one part in the vows where they said, "You have to be responsible for enriching your lives together." That, Natalie, means that you've got to take Mike kicking and screaming to museums. And they held hands and looked into each other's eyes as they said their vows, and the officiant pronounced them man and wife. The Ebird pronounced them spineless and conniving. Mike has no backbone, and Natalie's always up to something, and none of it's good. But guys, it was the congregation that had me in absolute stitches during this wedding. When the officiant said, "I pronounce you man and wife," all you could hear was, "Yeah! Woohoo! Yeah, come on!" And it was Uncle Bo and Tamara catcalling from the congregation. What a classy touch. And Uncle Bo, who dressed all in white for the occasion, and incidentally, his clothes practically upstaged Natalie's dress, stood on the ranch swaying and drunkenly said, "But yeah, I'm really happy for him. I didn't think they was gonna get married, but they finally did it. I really did have my doubts, but I'm very happy for him." And then Mike said, "It's been good and bad, it's been happy and sad, and it's been back and forth and all which ways, but I'm getting ready now to have the rest of our days together, the rest of our life." Okay, Mike, how eloquent. The good and bad. I must have missed the good. And the producer asked, "What comes next?" I can tell you, producer, a divorce. They're soon to be ex-husband and ex-wife. But Mike, of course, has other ideas. He said, "We're going to have some fun tonight." I bet you won't, Mike. I bet Natalie's headaches are about to start. And Tamara added a touch of much needed class when she said, "If the trailer's rocking, don't come a knocking." The trailer? I thought it was a ranch, Mike. And the whole party, including Uncle Bo, stagger across the scrubland back to the trailer. And we really do see Natalie's intentions, because Tamara said babies are going to be coming and Mike said yeah. In the next 24 hours, and Natalie said no. And Mike said in the next 48 hours, and Natalie said no. Natalie, you may as well have just said never. Meanwhile, there was a cacophony of noise from Tamara and a staggering Uncle Bo. "Yeah! Whoop! Oh! Whoa! Yeah!" And other drunken Tourette's-filled outbursts from a drunken Uncle Bo and Tamara. Honestly, guys, it took me ages to record this because every time I listened to it, it became funnier and funnier. Honestly, you couldn't make it up. Oh, Lord. Guys, did you guys find that funny, or was that just me? I honestly feel like potentially the producers added some sound effects of the whoops and the yeahs. But who knows, it was funny anyway. So yeah, that's it for these guys, that's the end of the story. So what does the Ebird make of this? What's next for these two? Well, as we know, these two are no longer together. The marriage is already finito. And so the first thing I wanted to talk about was the fact that so many people in my comments have been saying, "Ebird, you don't know what's going on. These guys are already divorced and you've been saying it since the first week." I know. Believe it or not, I get dozens and dozens of emails of people telling me who's been sighted where and who's married and who's divorced. And I've heard all the rumours about these guys right from the start, and in fact, before the season even started. But you know, on this channel, I don't like to do all the spoilers because for people that just watch the show and are not really into people's Instagrams and snooping around. It kind of ruins it all, and it ruins our talking points for each week. But it's quite funny what people think they know. So I'd heard right at the start, these two got married and then divorced, and Natalie's got a baby and she's living in Florida. But what do we really know? Well, there is no baby, and that was a rumour that went all around the internet. It's absolutely not true. So there have been many rumours which are entirely wrong about these guys. And also I've heard an awful lot of people saying this whole storyline's fake. None of this actually happened. It was all put on for the cameras. Natalie's an actress. Do I think Natalie's an actress? A big fat resounding no, and I only need direct you to her YouTube channel as proof that Natalie is no actress. So do I think that some of the storylines were souped up a bit for our entertainment? Of course, otherwise this whole show would be hella boring. But I do think that Mike was flip-flopping all the way through. And I do think that Natalie wanted to marry Mike, not for love probably, just for her green card, as I've said many times before. And there's no way that Mike would have got married, actually married to someone, if it was all just for the show. If Mike was doing it all just for the show, he would have just got rid of Natalie at the end and never bothered getting married. He stands to lose the most from them having gotten married and divorced so quickly. And we can argue, as I did at the start of the season again, yes, Mike would have had a vested interest in getting that TLC check, but he would have still gotten the money whether they got married at the end or not. It's clear to me that Mike actually did want to be with Natalie and did want to marry her, but he just wasn't sure about her intentions. And as for Mike putting all this on for the cameras, again, Mike is hella boring. If he'd have wanted to make exciting TV, he would have started off with his personality, surely. And so it's my contention that this was a real marriage on behalf of Mike, but not for Natalie. Natalie simply wanted her green card, and I believe that that was her sharp focus for the whole of the season. Why did she come back from the hotel? Because she wanted one more crack at Mike. That's honestly what I think. Natalie doesn't like Mike or the way that Mike lives. The more I see of this ranch, the more I think it's just a trailer on a piece of wasteland. Natalie thinks too much of herself to live that life with Mike, and that's why I believe these two got divorced, because Natalie had never planned to make a life with Mike at all. And my final thought was, as I saw Uncle Beau stagger drunkenly across the scrubland towards the trailer, I couldn't help but wonder, Beau, are you going in to measure up for curtains and consider new colour palettes? Because in just about a fortnight or so, he'll be moving back in. So guys, please weigh in and let me know what you think. Do you think, as some people have said, that Natalie was an actress and the whole storyline was fake? Or do you think it was a real storyline that was simply born from Natalie wanting to do a smash and grab on an American citizenship? And what do we think to Mike? Mike wasn't at all sure about this wedding, but he did want to be with Natalie, but he just wasn't quite sure. He wanted to believe what she was saying. I love you, I want us to be married, but he knew in his heart of hearts that it wasn't true. He knew in his heart of hearts she just wants to get to stay in the US. Now people have also said that she needs to stay married for 2 or 3 years before she can get her green card. Again, not true. We've seen this from Mohammed and Danielle, and also with Larissa and Colt. They were married but for a few weeks before they got divorced, and both Mohammed and Larissa are still in the country. I think now people are clued on to the fact that as long as I get married and we send off the paperwork for the green card, I've got every hope of longing it out and potentially finding someone else so that I can stay in the good old US of A. So guys, let me know what you think in comments down below, and I'll be back very soon with another video. And before I go, if you haven't done so, please subscribe to my channel and make Ebird a very happy Ebird, and also don't forget to smash the like button if you've enjoyed this final video from this season. Thank you so much for listening, I really do appreciate it. You've been listening to Ebird Online, and I bid you good day.